as ancient consciousness. The mind appears to reveal to itself its deeper and truer nature. Context. This is exploring the nature of mind, being, right? The nature of mind that is pure presence, open awareness. So the thing is that anything that we engage with, whether we are conscious of it or not, whatever the identity expresses and shares about what it means by its experience, is determined by its own nature. So our five senses, if we are speaking from an identity that is our five senses, there is a particular way we are experiencing ourselves. That's reality. Yeah? So ancient consciousness, when it's passed through the five senses, naturally it's living linear time, right? So it's the time is like I'm facing towards a future that seems like it's not yet come, but it's going to come. And then that there is a past that is over. I can never revisit my past. And it speaks of a present, but doesn't even realize that when we are, of course, the five senses and the logical, intellectual mind are one and the same. The intellectual, logical mind primarily, when it stands as the primary identity, when it's leading, that's the play of the Kali Yuga and Dwapara Yuga. It is fed only by the information of the five senses, and that's why it's the play that this whole system comes into activation, so we as consciousness can experience it, and we take on and live as the world that we think is outside the world of matter, right? So naturally, when as consciousness, when we are experiencing that at the level of mind, then the whole linear framework comes into definition. So if you speak about ancient consciousness, we say, oh, ancient consciousness was like so long back. And this is in response especially to what's been simmering in the field with a lot of stuff which has been coming up, which is like, oh my God, wisdom is lost, or we knew so much more. And this is our ancient lineages and the depth of what we really so-called knew. Now we're talking about in linear time, that was there, and it's all lost now. But nothing is ever lost. That concept does not exist when it comes to as consciousness, because all there is to isness is consciousness. And its explanation or description of what is determined by the I, sentience, isness. So naturally, when the I is identified and its ability to be aware, to sense, is only at the five senses, and we are identified at the level of the body, our logical mind, naturally, we live this linear time and we think a past that has long gone and we have lost that, but we haven't. Everything is right here and now. So ancient consciousness, it's kind of really important to sense that's why we say everything is within. Right? So in this context and way of perceiving and sensing that which we are, there's nothing outside of consciousness, ever. Right? We as conscious, everything appears within consciousness. And this, is natural for us, because at the level of five senses, everything is opposite. When we so-called open our eyes in the morning, it looks like the world has already been living itself. Right? A night has passed. There's a world that is alive and active, as if outside of that which I am, right? Because identity is at the level of the body. I slept and I got up, and when I got up, the world is already there. So the world that looks like the world of matter already exists. And this has to be, because we as consciousness have set it up that way. Actually, it's simultaneous and spontaneous. They so-called appear to arise together. That is the play of and as mind, we as consciousness appear as. It's spontaneous, it's instant. Yeah, that's why the way that we experience the world that which we are, the reality that which we are, anything that we define or express is simply a reflection of our state of consciousness, the dimension we are playing in as. There's no separation, because there cannot be any separation. There's only consciousness. Yeah? So it spontaneously arises. But when we parse it through and we speak of a reality, and that's why every experience and every reality is true for the one who is sensing it at that sensory level. And that's why all our ancient knowledge, everything would always say, that know the nature of senses, know the nature of mind. Yeah, that includes the body, mind, whatever is appearing. That's what the mind is. Right? Appearance, because consciousness, that which we are, lies beyond. Nothing can be said about it, because it's prior to mind, one may say. So we can't really say anything about consciousness. We just use that word and stuff like that. So anyway, so the world already exists, right? But consciousness is so-called the ground, the unseen, invisible non-beingness within which, through and as mind, I get to be. Right? And what is the I? That determines the experience. So reality, that which we are, appears within that which I am. Experience appears within that which I am. Everything that is and ever so-called could be appears within which I am. So that's why, the time, space, all of that starts to dissolve. So ancient consciousness is not something that is long ago, was far away. It is experienced that way, yes, when we are playing at the level of Kali Yuga, Dwapara Yuga state of mind. Beautiful way of playing in linear time, putting things as if behind us in the past, looking at things as if it's coming, but it's all here. And the way, of course, is to sense that, is to be that which we already are. Pure presence, here, now, empty. Yeah, that's the nature of consciousness. So the more and more present we are with whatever is, yeah, this takes a level of deep acceptance. That's why, and this takes a level of even that, this is where words can be helpful, right? Truly, where you really know that, okay, whatever is being sensed is simply part of the story. Okay, we don't want to say it's true or untrue, because for that level of sensing, it's true. So we don't need to fight with that. This was coming up, somewhere. We don't need to speak in those terms. It's true for where I am, but could there be more? Yeah, and all this, of course, is at the level of mind. Once you see the nature of mind itself and how beautifully we are playing, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we see, what we don't see, what we experience, what we don't experience, whether the mind defines it as hard, good, better, all that kind of comes to an equanimity, really, because it's all mind. It's just a play of mind, and it's a way of perceiving. It's the way that I'm playing, and we can then fluidly move. And that's not even right to say. When you're present, things appear to flow. Yeah, till, of course, even beyond the flow. Even beyond the flow, you simply see that awareness within which the nature and the flow of time, its rate, one may say, starts to change, really starts to change. The more and more we come into presence, initially especially, time starts to move fast. Like, when you're present with something, present with somewhere, like, time skips, like they say, it's like that. Eventually, that is only if you're speaking in terms of mind, because mind is time. Eventually, your awareness, then time itself dissolves. Right? And I want to point to this. That's why one of the beautiful ways to kind of sense that is, have you seen a wheel? Right? You see the wheel of time. That's why you say it's the wheel of time cycle. we experience, that which is this appears as the center, is what experiences itself as the circumference. That's the center of the wheel and its circumference. Instant, the instance of consciousness determines its experience of circumstance. It's the same thing. We experience reality as we are, the way that we are sensing. And that's the case at every level. But if you see the wheel, when it starts moving fast, right? When it's like moving fast. So initially, you'll see the wheel moving fast. You can actually see that. At a point, you see that shift happens. That wheel starts moving so fast that it looks still. This is directly the way, and we are right now there as the collective. We are there. All this shifts that we see, because this was coming up as well with the changes. Oh my God, it's a time of transformation. All that is at the nature of mind. Okay, that which we are never ever transforms. So this is at the level of mind and energy. But there is a momentum in that. You sense that everything starts to change. And the only change can be experienced because we have become more aware. We have become more present. It's directly connected to the experience of change. That's the paradox. The more stiller you are initially, the more you start seeing things changing. The more aware you become of the patterns, of all the things in the world. That's it. It's just pure presence. And that presence is that which we already are, awareness. So what is presence? Presence is just allowing the nature of mind and senses to do its own thing without being attached to it. Simply being. Simply being. So that shift starts to happen. Till there comes a point, and that's where we hear this, is that where you just are. You know the nature of reality, that literally you know that there is no reality as consciousness. There is no reality. There is no mind. The play of mind, reality, senses is appearing to happen. That's what they say, there's nothing happening. It's not to deny the mind. And there is a beautiful Shiva and Shakti way of this, to play, which is, there's a beauty to engaging with this, right? We are here. As consciousness, everything is uniquely streaming here, coming together to be. The environment is an alive soul. That's the collective. It's an alive soul living itself. And if you want to speak at the level of the human eye, if you look at it that way, is uniquely streaming in as consciousness. Your consciousness streaming in, we are consciousness streaming in as a unique gift that cannot even be named because it's pure presence. It's an open gateway, a portal. It cannot be planned. It cannot be defined. It's not an idea in that sense that can be held on. It's beyond concepts. It's just an open portal, an open window, an open doorway, an open threshold. It appears that way. And then you just are whatever appears in the moment. Whatever needs to so-called be and be done appears to happen. Yeah? But none of that is primary. Because mind is secondary. That is known. So coming back to this, that's why they're speaking in the context of this summer. Summer, at the cycle of seasons, at the level of Gaia, our solar system and all of that, our summer solstice was really, that's why recognized as the a divine portal, a completion point actually. Now very key here, I want to mind you, because this is one of the foundational tenets, one may say, is know that everything that is being expressed is at the level of, it's a context. It's a level or a nature of mind. Because mind only experiences itself as that nature. If the I changes or the vibration or the nature changes, its experience of reality is completely different. So that's why you find a lot of things which are paradoxes, as if we can't have those paradoxes meet their opposites, or they seem conflicting or contradicting. And this is one of the most common things that arises in the field. And that's natural, because the mind, which is the intellectual mind, which is not integrated and is only thinking from its five senses, is the or paradigm. It stands as me apart from life, me apart, so that we can experience it that way as a separate self. So that way it cannot hold two opposites. It just cannot. It cannot hold and be multitudes. It doesn't understand that. It wants a concept, because only when it can understand and only when it can see something, then it trusts. That which is shifting, how can I trust? It cannot hold or understand its own so-called appearing paradoxical multidimensionality. Cannot. That's the nature, intellectual mind. So it will always try it, and every state of mind will naturally, right? That's its perception. Its level of understanding is only that. So that's why these things beyond a point are, there is a deep understanding, because this was coming up in the field about the need to kind of share this, the beauty of that which we are, really. The beauty, there are no names for that which we are. I just want to tell you that. There's no name. If we just even have a little glimpse of the benevolence and the magnanimity of that which is and that which we are, the mind falls silent. Really, nothing that we can say about that which is, that which we are, can ever do justice. Cannot do justice. And we play. As consciousness, we can play. Every experience is equanimous. Every idea ultimately is the same. It allows for a way of experience. That's all it is. It allows for a way of tasting. Yeah? That we may taste and we may say bitter, that we may say taste and say spicy, that we may taste and say sweet, or we may say nothing at all. Right? That's the play of sensing. So there's a beauty to this, that either you can say no reality or this thing, that's like that in the Indian culture would say like the Shiva's way in many ways. I am nothing, neti. Or we can say I am everything, I'm everything, I'm everything. That's Shakti's way, that's the mother's way. She is everything and she owns everything and she wildly plays in everything. Right? Because there is no difference between the masculine and the feminine. These are simply concepts for a level, at a level of context, for understanding. But otherwise there's nothing. Those two that appear apart are complementing. They are one. And only by being in complementing, which appear as contradicting natures, is life really experienced. That's why duality is a must for experience. That's why non-duality is not something that can really be spoken about or offered at the level of concepts. Non-duality, the way that it really started, was instant response to what was in the moment, sensing by the nature of mind that was asking the question. It was never ever meant to be written down or offered as concepts, because the mind that is trying to understand, a conceptual mind, its understanding is at the level of concepts. You give it something, it will convert it into a concept and hold it. That's one of the reasons when all of this appears, I was like, when you share with this, that's why it's really key to keep in mind that it's my nature and my way of sensing what I'm meeting, what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing. We only meet or see another at the level of that which we are. And once we really see this clearly for what it is, There is no giving away of our power or the explanation of our experience and putting it out in the world or putting it on another. Because this was coming up as well as a lot of it simmering in the field of, this one said this and that one said that, and this guru versus that guru, and our own level of awareness determines what we can sense, and that determines our ability to move or not move or make choices. Right? Our chitta, it's called chitta. That's our integrated level. This is connected to the crown chakra. So that's why awareness is the only thing, that which we already are. What is needed? Nothing. We are nothing. That means what is needed is just the presence to be here. And that allows for the so-called appearance of as if the dissolution of mind and as if clarity dawns. So if your presence, more and more the ability to sense what is truly appearing to happen. And within that is the I itself, who seems to be appearing to observe. And through that, the action arises. So that's why every doing, being and doing are not different. They're two sides of the same coin. Two sides of the same coin. Okay, so where was I? So in the context of this play, that which we are, as what we call as Gaia, we call it as Bhudevi, or you want to call it as our solar system, anything, right? So at this part of the play, that's why ancient consciousness are so-called elders. And right now we finished Jyeshta season. If you look at the lunisolar calendar, the Hindu calendar, that we say Jyeshta means nothing but elder. It's the nature of summer. The word root essence of summer is from the word sama. Sama means equanimous. Samyam, we say. The heart dissolving, coming into equanimity. All this is the play of the heart, mind you. Even though we speak about the intellectual and get into the heart, what we mean is the heart is the yama. That's why, being in love is like a madness. It dissolves. It dissolves the identity. It dissolves because it doesn't see any separation. So, samayama is the nature of the heart. Sama means equanimous. Sa and ma. Sa is the sound of, like I said, the way that consciousness is experiencing itself. We are just experiencing just a minute blip of that which we are. Minute blip of that which we are. So samasa is a certain level of sentience, a range, you can say. Ma is the sound for mind. And it's the sound for me. So from this perspective, it's a deeply personal thing. That which appears impersonal, as Shakti, can experience everything as me. I am. Nothing is outside of that which I am. That is Ma. And that's the nature of mother, let me say. So Sama, right? That's why the mother's nature is, it's equanimous, not the equality the way that we understand. She understands the wisdom of each quality. That is the aqua. Each quality needs to be a certain way in order for the eye to experience this beautiful thing. Not everything can be same. So sama is equanimous, and the word for the same, but not the same that the intellectual mind understands. We are not. So that which we truly are is one and the same, but at the level of appearance, appearing as the beauty of diversity and differences, that allows us to engage with that which we are beautifully. These are play of qualities. So sama is equanimous, right? So that's why ancient consciousness we would call as sama, and that's the root essence word for a shaman. In ancient consciousness, there was no initially the sound of ha that we call today as human, ha mana. They did not recognize, because ha did not stand apart from that which is. So it was samana. Samana is the unnameable, sentient that which is appearing as mind, that which I am. Sana, that which is sensing is not. The net. Sanatana, Tana is the body. Sanatana Dharma. That's what it is. It's not a religion at all. So shaman, is that actually. So samana. So other thing we'll really see that's why in ancient consciousness it's not Shiva, it's Siva. If you look at in how it's pronounced and said in old ancient language like Tamil, you'll say it's Siva. It's not Shiva. It's Sakti, not Shakti. Right? The her came in later. But either ways, all of this is it's just pointing to the nature of that which we are as mind, as pure sentience. So ancient consciousness, that's why it's the feminine consciousness. It's the subtle mind that experiences and perceives and senses the beauty of that which is, that which I am, sensing it at a deeper level. That's why ancient consciousness and all our holistic traditions, if you talk about Ayurveda or even the Chinese medicine or any culture, if you go back, you'll see. You have wisdom keepers, they'll all have the beauty of this knowledge, this knowing. And what was it? And this is the thing. When everything is appearing to bring us into equanimity, everything that we meet, whether we love it or whether it triggers us, is all to bring us into the recognition and the realization of that which I truly am. Everything is an invitation. Do you see me? Do you meet me? You are me. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of this play and relating. Right? So that's why all these pointers at the level of the cycle, our equinoxes, our eclipses, or these things were points, right? Of course, this is playing in linear time. Mind you, I want to just really state that because we are beyond that right now. We appear as this, the forward moving time, the backward moving time, as if waking up to ancient consciousness. Ancient consciousness is not ancient as in linear time, as far off. When we dissolve, we are a sentience. That is the root essence of ancient consciousness. So shamans, we knew that. So if you're identified at the level of the physical body, you're invited, right, to be one with nature. So you awaken to a deeper self here then. And when you are sama, that is the experience of maturation. That's the root essence of this season that we are celebrating right now, which is samara. Samara. Resonance coming to a level of equanimity. And this is a portal, was a gateway to an opening, to realization that there is no time. So that's why June was madness. Okay, gotta go. And an escape. It was a point of an opening to go into timelessness, to as if awaken to that which we are beyond any cycle. Any cycle. That's why the clock, if you look at it, 12. After 12 comes 13. 13 is the number of the feminine. Much love. More later.